Hello, so this is part 4 of our Somerset Levels stencil print, and we're going to start doing the stenciling in this one. So we're going to put the trees down here first and then move into the birds. So as you remember, I've made this blue background for the sky, and then I put my big swirly ink to show kind of a murmuration of birds coming in from afar. Then we've made some stencils of birds and trees. So I've got my stencil that I made in part 3 here, and I've got it there, but because that tree's kind of going in that way, one I've already done, I'm going to just flip it over. It doesn't really matter, and I'm going to have it going this way. And I thought I'd have my third tree. I think maybe 3 trees would look good. Put there. Now I'm going to use acrylic to stencil through. So I've got some colours. I've got a bit of black, brown, yellow. I'm going to also use a bit of blue, and I'm going to mix them together as I go. Now I just use very basic little old kitchen sponges to use my to print through. Now what you don't want to do is add any water to this. You need to keep the paint just as paint, quite dry almost. So I'm going to have the base quite dark, so that's a bit of black, maybe a bit of brown with that. So I just dip into my brown and black to one side, and then I hold down near where I'm going to do my stenciling. Now you hold it very still with one hand, and you tap through with your. So I'm going to add a little bit. I might use a different sponge, this cleaner one here. Going to make a bit of green, so a little bit of maybe blue and yellow mixed, maybe even a touch of white. So you can see I'm actually mixing these with the brush. So I've got a kind of greeny colour there, and I'm going to, now you have to hold down near where you're pressing so that it doesn't shift, near where you're printing. And I'll go over that a bit there. So up here now, so it sort of bounces around a bit as you do this. So let's get that done. Need to reload, a bit more ink, a bit of brown and yellow this time, maybe a touch of white. Okay, you get kind of messy fingers, so if you don't want messy fingers, acrylic-y fingers, you'd probably be best wearing some kind of plastic gloves of some sort, but it soon washes off. Light down the trunk as well. Okay, now here's the magic bit where you see what you've done, and well, hey, this looks great. Okay, now I'm going to use these long bits to create some reeds as well. So you see I've got these kind of reeds growing up from what is a kind of bit of water down here. So I'm just going to do a bit of reediness, pressing through that. Go. Now to get the reflections, I'm just going to flip them over and do a bit more down there. You could just paint these in, but it's kind of fun to keep stenciling. Okay, now I'm just going to put that down. I want to get the reflection of that trunk, and I think the easiest way to do that is probably just to paint it in. So I've just got myself a brush here, a little gap, and then I'm going to try and reflect that shape just a little bit, just to give, and maybe give myself a few more little reflections there. whilst I've got some paint on the brush. Okay, so now to my birds. So if you remember, we did some big ones and we did some smaller ones. So my big ones, I'm going to have them maybe swooping around this way, so I want them kind of all coming in that same direction. I'm going to have a big one in the middle there, and that one's going to be pretty black, so it really stands out. I might add a tiny bit of blue or white to the top of the wings. So again, holding it still around where I am sponging. And this one's going to be right bang in the middle. Make sure you don't go over into the next hole because that will look messy. Alright, I'm going to use a little bit maybe of white just to put a tiny bit of, can you see that? Just sort of dabbing the top edge of the bird just to give it a little shimmer of white. Okay, so there's my first bird. Let's just come in here. Now the next bird, I think I want to get this blue behind the black so it really stands out. Now you might have some little bits of paint coming through your stencil, so sometimes I will just cover up that bit so it stays clean, and I'm going to put that there. Okay, and do my next blacky one. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to this one, like a little shimmer of blue on the bird. Okay, how's that going to look? I love seeing how they look. There we go, that's that one. And then I'm going to do some of the smaller ones. Again, I want them all coming kind of the same, swooping in and off. So I think I'm going to put this one, I quite like the shape of that one. And cover up those. This one's going to come up there. And this really is the fun bit, doing your printing. So that's great, got one there. Another one here. And I'm just slowly going to build up. I have a little small one, you can see like it's in the distance, but it's down there. Okay, so you can see we're just slowly building up this whole series of birds. Now what I also did on this one is I started to put some little tiny dots just with a paintbrush, just a little bit watery, and they are almost like little wiggles, really. Little tiny, like little birds you might do when you were a kid. To give that idea that there's hundreds, thousands of birds. And then the whole murmuration coming in behind. Okay, so you can see how that one's going. Now I'm just going to show you before I finish how I was getting on with my more experimental one here, which is where I'd done the tissue paper and paint, and I've started doing some birds and some trees, and actually I really like the look of this sky, which is built up of a kind of few layers of collage, really. So you can see you could play around. There's lots of experimental things you could do. I quite like the idea that there's a sort of stream of light coming in here and it's dark around the edges. You can do lots of them. That's a great thing. Once you've made your stencil, and especially if you use cartridge paper, these can be used over and over again a few times. I mean, they will deteriorate after kind of 4 or 5 times, but they are still usable for a while. So that's it. Okay, have fun. If you are watching this on YouTube, can you please subscribe? That would be fantastic. Thank you very much, and show me what you've done. That'd be great. Bye bye.